Well, and I do want to mention too, like the purpose of this episode isn't to have like a QVC style like channel of like, oh, and today we've got the Brickhead, Legolas, and Gimli pack for $20. Grab it for your loved one today. That's not the goal. The goal is just to have a fun conversation about kind of like the current, meta, if you would, of Lego sets that are available on Lego and kind of breaking it down by price points. And like it's the holidays. So like it's either holiday buying guide, but also just kind of a fun conversation about Lego. So as you're sitting there listening to the show, if you're not buying anything for anybody this holiday season, that's fine. Think of what set you would like personally within this range. Kind of play a little game with yourself of like, what set would I like to grab under $25? So
hello, bricks, chicks, and minifigures. You are listening to AFOLs Welcome, where we talk about all things Lego from the perspective of two adult collectors. We are your co-hosts. I'm West.
And I'm Grinch.
And today we are presenting our 2024 holiday buying guide. But first, some exciting Lego news.
Exciting Lego news.
And today we got a lot of Lego news, and breaking it down for us is Grinch. Grinch, go ahead.
Third time's the charm, West. Little inside joke there for the listeners. This is our third time doing this. We have a ton of Formula One, from City to Duplo to adults, like everything. We got the Icons Fountain Garden. The idea phase 1 of this year was announced. Spoiler alert, West will be getting a free set courtesy of Grinch because he got that right in our last episode. CMF Series 26, there's been a lot of leaks about some certain set that comes out once a year and might be modular, and a bit of smaller news, but the Alloy and Varl set for Horizon Forbidden Adventures that we talked about last week, its price was revealed. And I'm going to start there, West, because I know we'll talk a bit about the Formula One stuff because you're my co-host, but I did want to circle back to that. We talked about the set in detail last time, and I said one thing. I said we don't have a price for it. And if you recall, there was 800 almost, I'm rounding up slightly, pieces in the set, and I said, are they going to go, more the adult collector side and price this thing up to $100-ish, $90? Or are they going to, is it going to just be a deal? And by that, I was thinking maybe $60. But Wes, do you know how much this set cost?
We talked about it before the episode, so yes, I do. This set costs $45.
That's insane in my book. It really, like that's insane.
That is
When was the last time you got a set? I mean, that was that was a licensed theme set. I guess the Fortnite llama was pretty good too. But I mean, I digress. Like, just a fantastic price for that set. I just wanted to revisit that because, wow, blown away. But
yeah,
what did you want to talk about? I'm sure there's something. I'm sure there's one thing, maybe a formula of something, of a formula of one that you might want to talk about.
Yeah, well, before we get into the Formula One, I did want to talk about the Icons Fountain Garden set that was revealed. Okay. It's an exciting new kind of series of sets they're doing, starting with that Tranquil Garden set they came out with 2 years ago, where they took that sort of Japanese tea garden theme. And now it looks like they're trying to attempt this with gardens all over the world. And so this is a sort of a Spanish, North African themed garden, which is really exciting to see. It uses a similar style of kind of plug and play feature where you can pull some of the different features out and move them around to kind of create your own garden, if you will. But it looks really cool. And I really like the design for the trees. They use those Wolverine claws, those green Wolverine claws, to really great effect. And I think it'll be a really fun thing to incorporate into your city.
Mm-hmm.
So the more gardens they create like that, the more I could just see them being incorporated into some sort of larger modular city. So that's exciting.
Sure,
What did
sure.
you anything stand out for you for that set?
Nothing for that set. I don't know. It's kind of just enjoy it from a distance for me.
Yeah.
Good
The one
price, you
the
know.
one thing that I really thought was cool was the main fountain feature actually. And you and I talked about these fountains, and I actually kind of and modified the fountain in my modular assembly
Mm-hmm.
square because I just didn't really like the way it was created back in the day. And now these days they have those really great water slash they were like the
Splat and blat pieces.
splat and blat pieces, yeah, that we saw in Marvel, and they came out in the light blue. They've been used for water in like the Ninjago City series, and so
Mm-hmm.
now they're incorporated to really, really great effect into that main fountain, and that main fountain would look amazing in the middle of your assembly square. So
Sure.
that is something I think I'm going to cook up and scheme my own variation of that for my assembly squared in the future. And
And
I know you're not a fan of modifying those sets, so I'll leave
yeah.
that there.
Well, you said your assembly square, but for the record, I believe you mean your assembly square, not my assembly square.
Yes. But let's get on to kind of the big news of the day. And
Hey,
there's so
West,
much
hold
to
on.
talk
Before
about.
we do that, I got to go
Okay.
off script and interrupt you here. I apologize. I
Yeah,
missed this. Did you see that they announced another Star Wars uh ship, MIDI
I
scale
did.
ship?
Yeah.
I didn't see that. This looks
Yeah.
really good. It's the is
Home
it Mon,
one.
Mon Calamari, the home one, kind
Yeah.
of Star Cruiser, and then is that a smaller like
That is the
Nebulon that's
smaller
attached to it?
Nebulan B frigate. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, this looks really good. I'm really happy to see that they're continuing this. I will pick this up. I'm not a big Star Wars collector, but I will pick this up.
Yeah, I think it looks really good. And that's a tough set to capture all of the curves and intricacies of those Mon Cala ships. And so I think it's really done to great effect in Lego.
Yeah.
And it looks like you can even open it up and see some of the inside of it. So I think they've actually kind of taken that ship series to a whole new level with kind of a new design there and a new sort of piece to that
Hmm.
MIDI scale, if you will. So I still think the MIDI scale Millennium Falcon is probably one of the best sets Lego's come out with recently in terms of models.
Yeah.
And so seeing more of these sets built is really exciting. And
Yeah.
truthfully too, from Lego's perspective, this is a really great scale to build in because they can incorporate just a lot of detail
Hmm.
while still keeping it relatively decently sized for fans and collectors. And so I think for those of us who maybe are a little bit more real estate limited in terms of like shelf space or whatever, something like this, if they did another big Star Destroyer, right? If they did maybe like a Death Star, I know they had a gift with purchase Death Star that was kind of similar to his
Yeah.
size, or even ships like X-wings and stuff in this scale could look really, really good. So I think it would be exciting to see, what they come up with next. And Lego truthfully has, the sky's the limit for this type of scale because there's really a lot that they can do there. So that's kind of
Yeah.
exciting to see.
I'm really happy to see this because I'm glad they're continuing it. And like you said, sky's the limit. They could do so much more here. And I just want to say, like, kudos to Lego, like, credit where credit is due, because I think there's been a little bit of critique in the Star Wars community of like, well, I want the big detailed ship, but like, I don't want to spend $600 on a Jabba sail barge. Like,
Yeah.
this
And
is going to
it's two
be in
people
the
who own,
70 to 80 range, right? Like, and
yeah.
it's not going to be as detailed as a UCS set because it just can't at this scale, but it's still a very detailed model for what it is at the end of the day, right? Like if it's a pure display piece and very detailed.
And for two people who own the UCS Millennium Falcon, it's a great set. It's really detailed. It's just a really big set, and it's
Mm-hmm.
hard to display. It's hard to maintain. And once you have it built, it's a fun build. It takes a while. It's a great one to really stretch out because when you're building sections of it, you're almost like the sections are so it's you never really get to a point where you're like, oh, if I just finish this next bag, then it's like done until you're literally like on the last bag. Like everything you're doing builds towards it, but it's not, nothing is like pushing you beyond. You could do a bag a night and feel very content building the UCS Millennium Falcon.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's kind of a nice way to go about that. That being said, once it's complete, it's really big and it's a nice showpiece, but that's kind of it. We both
Yeah.
kind of talked about that. It's hard to move. We both had to take ours apart completely to move it. These smaller scale sets, I think, are just the perfect size for adult fans of Lego and kind of those collectors who are really looking for something detailed, but not so detailed. It's you have to pick it up with two hands at the exact right point or the thing collapses on you. So,
All right, West. The big news of the day, so to
yeah.
speak. Formula One team Duplo cars. Let's
I
get it.
know. I'm so excited to see these Duplo sets out for real. The intricacy and accuracy they've just captured at that scale is really, really
The
impressive.
4-block build, my
Oh my
God,
gosh.
it
Yeah.
is
The 2x4
amazing.
on wheels has never looked so good.
Okay, hold on, real talk. Is the Duplo stuff like a miss? Like, do like 2-year-olds resonate with Formula One? Do 2-year-olds resonate with anything?
No, well, as a dad of
You
a
have, yeah.
soon to be 2-year-old, I can tell you their attention span is fairly limited. But no,
So
let's
maybe
talk about
fast cargo vroom good.
I don't know. But let's talk about the bigger announcement here, right? So we got all of our Lego Formula One sets revealed. I don't believe this is like the complete wave, but it's a good start. And so, as you alluded to, we had our Duplo sets revealed, we had our City sets revealed, we had our Speed Champion sets revealed, and we even had a sneak peek of the CMF series or
Well, and it's
collectible.
it's collectible, and I think that's the big
Yeah.
thing. And it is revealed. It's not even a sneak peek. It's out there.
So I think that's exciting to see. Um, there's so much to talk about here, and so for the sake of time and keeping an attention span of our audience, what I will say is looking through these sets, there's just a lot, right? And we didn't even talk about Technic. Sorry, there's an Icon series. There's so much going on here. But what really excited me was looking through those Speed Champion sets. You and I were actually looking at them before we started recording, and there's some new pieces, a lot of new pieces. And I was a little frustrated that they were doing the Speed Champion series so soon after releasing the McLaren and Aston Martin Speed Champion cars from last year. And these new ones, while sharing a very similar architecture,
Mm-hmm.
are even better than the ones before. And there's some very new, precise pieces that really stand them out as kind of interesting and exciting sets. And these are going to be fun pieces to incorporate in other builds and everything else like that. The Speed Champions, I think, has been kind of a sleeper series for introducing new and exciting pieces into the Lego community, more so than maybe some of our bigger evergreen themes. So it's exciting to see what they're putting together. But Grinch, what did you think about the Speed Champion series?
I think they're cool. I am not a big. I actually have weirdly quite a few Speed Champions now, but I wouldn't call myself like a Speed Champions collector. I just like I like Audis. I like Ford. I like the NASCAR one. So like I get those ones, but and I get the like licensed one. So I'm probably not
Mm-hmm.
gonna get these. I mean, I guess all the Speed Champions are licensed at this point because of all the ads on them. But um, I'm just not a Formula One person. So and that's okay. We talked about it on like the curating our Lego collection. Like, stay true to what you want to collect. Don't just collect something off the hype. Like, I hope you get these so that I can see them close up and in person. Right. I think they look really cool. But I also know if I get one, I have to get all 10. And I'm not going to do that. But I think as like a Lego fan, too, that's not going to get them. The stuff that intrigues me is, like you mentioned, the new parts. mostly. That's really cool. But also, there's traditionally a ton of stickers on these, right?
Mm-hmm.
And,
Yeah.
now there's a nice Red Bull print out there. So for mock builders, it's more than
Yeah.
just getting new pieces. It's also getting like official Lego stickers that can be reused in your own mocks and stuff. So I think there's a lot there. I don't know if that's a new helmet piece that's on there, but obviously a
I
newish
think it
helmet
is.
mold,
I
right?
think it
Right.
is.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
got a built-in visor, it looks like. So that's really cool.
And it's
Um,
like a little more tapered in the back too. It's
yeah,
not like a circle.
there's a lot of newness to like here. So I'm all for it, even though I'm not going to buy it, right?
Yeah.
And that's okay.
No, that's totally fair. This is an exciting series. You and I talked about this a little bit in terms of hits and misses, and I do think the collectible series is a little bit of a miss, but it's exciting to see what F1 is doing with this collaboration. And because we really haven't had a collaboration across the Lego brand like this before, right? Where we've
Mm-hmm.
gotten Duplo, City, right? So we did get City F1 cars too, and they're reminiscent of the 6 Speed Champion F1 cars that came out years ago. In fact,
Right.
I would argue they're probably a little better, but it's interesting to see those side by sides with the 8 stud wide Speed Champions now. And I think if anyone was a little hesitant on the 8 stud wide switch, I think this has to sell you on it
Yeah.
because these 8
This
stud
is
wide
it.
vehicles are just so much more detailed and specific than those 6 stud wide ones are for City. It's almost, I don't know. It's night and day difference in my opinion. But we're also seeing stuff across the Technic brand. We're seeing stuff across the Icons brand. And so it's really exciting to see, this collaboration take the
Mm-hmm.
shape that it is. And I'd be curious to hear from our listeners what collaboration Lego should do next. Like what brand should they collaborate with next and at what scale?
Well, and does
Or
it have to
rather,
be a brand because they did this year in 2024 with space, right?
no, that's a great point, right? That was sort of an internal collaboration,
Right. Of a
cross
theme,
branding.
right?
Yeah. Yeah,
Through
that's a
even
really great
friends.
point. So I guess my question for Lego fans would be, and our listeners would be, what either theme or cross brand promotion would make sense for the future, kind of given that you're having to cross brand between like 5 or 6 different themes in Lego. I don't really have a great answer for that right now myself, but it would be exciting to see,
Mm-hmm.
maybe a sports. This would be a great one for like NBA again or something, or um, I mean that's the one that stands
Yeah,
out.
they did like the National Geographic kind of unofficial, that was just
Yeah,
within
that would be
city.
another
Like they
great
could do
one.
something like that, right? Like more of an
Yeah,
explorers type of thing. I know
yeah.
you're not as happy with the cars, but these are coming out soonish. And so they're not a CMF, right? It's more along the lines of what they did with Mario, where it's like the collectible Mario characters Series 1. So it is, yes, your traditional like CMF blind box, smaller. I think they're $3.99, which is good. 29 pieces, $3.99. So it's even cheaper than a CMF, which is kind of nice. I mean, that $4 versus $6 is nice. So I think that's a win. Um, and I don't know. I think this is nice because I think you're going to have a lot of younger kids who are going to want to have the big, like all the big cars, and this
Hmm.
offers a way to kind of do that, right? You can get all of these. There's 12 of
Yeah.
them, $4 a pop. That's $48. That's called mental math. But $48 will get you one and a half or almost two. I guess almost two of the bigger speed champions ones, right? So you can kind of satisfy that appetite for your younger collector, or
Hmm.
just somebody who maybe wants all of them but like can't get all of them but is like a huge Formula 1 fan. Like that's why I like these. That's why I'm okay with them, because it's not replacing a CMF line, right?
Yeah. No, that's fair. If it were to replace a CMF line, I think there'd be a larger sort of coup here,
Right.
right? But there isn't, and so
We
this
wouldn't even
just
be
sort of
recording.
exists as
We would
another
be doing a
collectible,
Playmobil podcast.
right? Well, but I still think there's I think there's still a good question here that needs to be asked, which is who is this for? And you and I talked about this a little bit today on our ways, collective way home this afternoon. But
I work from home. I was technically still
I was in the
working,
car.
bro.
But I do think this is a really valid question for this theme, right? Which is, again, who is the target audience for this? The collectible series itself, by virtue of it being a collectible series, sort of lends itself automatically to being more for like your teen and your adult collectors, right? And then, because that's what they've sort of done with the CMFs specifically. And certainly for kids, I'm sure kids buy CMFs. So I'm not saying that that's not like part of the audience, right? But I would argue that they're probably not the core audience for something like a CMF series. Then you take something like F1. It's a highly technical racing series. It does have pretty good proliferation amongst adults in the United States and across Europe. Netflix has been doing a really great series on F1 for years now. But at the same time, I think it does skew kind of younger in terms of its audience. And so I'm curious, younger adult rather. And so I'm curious, when you make these things kind of look as miniature and childlike as Lego has, it raises that question of just like, for me as an adult fan of Lego, like I'm just going to go buy the Speed Champions. I'm not going to go get the Max
Yeah.
Verstappen CMF because I want to get the Speed Champion version of that, not the little one. And so I just don't know whose audience this was really targeted for. So
Maybe it's a Formula One. I mean, when I think of Formula One, and you're the race car guy, so correct me if I'm wrong here. I think of more of a European audience.
I would
Is
say
that wrong?
it definitely slants more European.
Right?
In fact, there still is not an American team in Formula One, and that's
Right.
been a bit of a
So
not only is there not an
maybe some
American,
of this is
yeah,
Formula One trying to branch out a little bit
yeah. I mean, certainly it could be an attempt from the brand
to
to
get a
try
little bit
to,
younger.
yeah, skew a little younger and kind of approach younger audience using something like Lego as the vehicle for that, pun intended. And that certainly could be
Vroom.
exactly that could be the intent here, right? So I would buy that, but I'm still a little, I don't know, iffy on how. I'd be curious to see how successful this actually does. So,
Yeah,
but
I mean, I don't know. I was sitting here thinking like maybe I would get these because just to like dabble, but then I scrolled further down and then I saw the Formula Ones and I was like, no, maybe I'll just get those.
yeah, and I know you have a propensity to want to collect all of something,
Not
Ash
want,
Ketchum style.
need.
Fair. I personally think I'm going to pick up probably the McLaren car because I really like that orange and blue paint scheme. And then probably either the Aston Martin car because that's the other one that I already have, or find just another one, maybe the Ferrari one, right? Because it's Ferrari or something like that to pick up and collect. But I don't really feel a need to collect them all personally.
Mm-hmm.
Although, one of the things I'd commented to you about, which I think is important for AFOLs to realize too, and to potentially build some excitement for this series, the Speed Champion series, is that these cars are unique. Each one of them is different. And that's exciting to see. There's different changes to the chassis. Most of the fronts look the same. But once you get right up into the cockpit of the car itself, there's very subtle but distinct differences in every single one of the cars. And that itself is actually pretty realistic to the F1 series, which is again kind of a nice nod to that racing series, which is, yeah, they do look all very similar, but there's very subtle and unique differences depending on the manufacturer and how they build their cars. So that's kind of cool too.
Are they,
But I did. Oh, sorry, Grinch. Go ahead.
pardon my ignorance, are they missing anybody? Are they, is this like, are
No,
there
this is
only,
all of the
there's
teams.
10 teams? Like that's it?
Yes,
Okay.
there's multiple drivers per team.
Got it.
So I think I don't know the lineups well
Which
enough.
one does Richard Hamlin drive for?
You mean like Denny Hamlin, like the
Yeah.
NASCAR driver?
No. The guy that owns the Broncos.
You might have to look that one up.
Hamilton. Is that not wrong?
Oh, Lewis Hamilton.
Lewis. Did I say Richard? Lewis Hamilton. Yeah. Who does he drive
Well,
for?
he used to drive for Mercedes. I don't know if he still does. You have to look that up.
I might have to get that one.
Is it Mercedes?
Because I guess it says Mercedes under his name.
Yeah.
Sir Lewis Carl Davidson Hamilton.
Yeah.
God.
I mean,
Now he's a
old
part owner of the Denver Broncos, so
Louis
like
Hamilton is a stud on wheels. So again, pun intended. Boom.
this is AFOLs Welcome.
Hello, bricks, chicks, and minifigures.
this is gonna be our fourth time doing this.
Let's wrap up our exciting Lego news. So Grinch, before we wrap up this segment, we talked about it earlier. You mentioned it at the top of the exciting Lego news segment, but there is a image out there circulating of a set that is modular in nature, and I gotta say it looks really good. I'm really excited to see it, to get more details about it. It is a corner set, so it keeps with that pattern, which is what we were expecting, but I think it is better than we all expected. So Grinch, what do you think about that?
I think we will comment on it when it's officially revealed.
Yeah, okay, I think that's fair. Any last final thoughts for exciting Lego news, Grinch?
I'm all excited out.
Well, let's transition to our main topic.
Today's topic.
For our main topic tonight, as we talked about in the introduction, this is our 2024 holiday buying guide. And to kind of set the stage here for this guide, we each looked at a different series of price points. We picked a set within that price point. Initially, we were going to pick two sets within that price point in case we overlapped. We kind of ended up looking at it, and interestingly enough, we didn't overlap at all with our first choices. So we're going to stick with those. But when we were thinking about the price points, I initially proposed to Grinch that we keep it simple and use the Lego price point. But Grinch kind of corrected me and corrected the record. And to be frank, the Lego price point itself was a little silly because they did effectively 75 to 100, 100 and up. And once you were in 100 and up, that was it. And so there were a lot of sets to pick from within these different price points that Lego created. And
hey, can I stop us?
Yeah.
Be more descriptive. You're filling in a lot of the gaps for people that they don't know exist. These price points are what Lego suggested on their websites as shop by price points.
Okay.
And then you said originally it was 75 to 100, and we decided that we need to do 100.
Yeah.
You got to fill in some of the info. I would just start this over. Fill in some of the information for listeners because I'm trying to follow, and I'm having a hard time.
Okay, sorry.
That's okay.
And I don't need, if we're not even going to talk about our second ones, then I don't even need to talk about it.
Yep.
Okay, and on to our main topic. Like we talked about at the beginning, our intro to the episode, this is our 2024 holiday buying guide. And this is something that Grinch and I wanted to put together. Grinch, you actually put together a video kind of following this theme. What was it, a year or two ago on your YouTube channel? And so we wanted to provide this, kind of service to our listeners as well, giving them our take on what sets that we recommended at varying price points. And so the price points for our episode tonight are 25 and under, 25 to 50, 50 to 100, 100 to 200, and 200 plus. And Grinch and I each picked a set within that price point for our listeners. When we were looking at different sets, we were considering not only our own interest, right, but trying to think of just like what would be one set in this price point that we thought just sort of spoke to the larger Lego audience as a whole. But Grinch, we made a very conscious effort not to follow the price points on Lego's websites. And do you want to kind of talk our listeners through why we went with our price point and not the one that Lego has on their website?
Yeah, so as Wes mentioned, we did 25 and under, 25 to 50, 50 to 100, 100 to 200, 200 plus. Lego actually had it as 25 and under, 25 to 50, 50 to 75, 75 to 100, and then 100 plus. And I don't know if any listeners have looked at the Lego catalog recently, but if you're, I mean, it feels like half of the sets on the shelf are over $100 right now.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
literally, when we did our episode, our very first episode where we talked about the value, or is Lego price going up? I think the average retail price is now like $60. So half the
Yeah.
sets are over that pretty much, right? I mean, I know that's not a median, but half the sets are over $75. So we wanted to spread that and have that $75 threshold kind of be the middle point for our discussion today.
Yeah. And like you mentioned, there's just so many sets these days that are kind of it's like the average has skewed more expensive over the last few, the last decade. And so we are seeing more and more sets released at those higher price points. And certainly some of those icon sets that are released at the plus $500 set range are certainly skewing that figure up even higher. But there's a huge bulk of sets right now that are just sitting around that $100 to $120 price point. It's pretty incredible.
Right. Right.
And so, I mentioned that we picked sets that were sort of not necessarily sets that you or I wanted, right? But we're giving suggestions to our listeners for sets that we just felt like really spoke and stood out at that price point, and kind of spoke to a more general audience. So Grinch, do you want to kind of talk through your process for how you picked some of these sets?
Well, and I do want to mention too, like, the purpose of this episode isn't to have like a QVC style like channel of like, oh, and today we've got the Brickhead, Legolas, and Gimli pack for $20. Grab it for your loved one today. That's not the goal. The goal is just to have a fun conversation about kind of like the current, meta, if you would, of Lego sets that are available on Lego, and kind of breaking it down by price points. And like, it's the holidays, so like it's either holiday buying guide, but also just kind of a fun conversation about Lego. So as you're sitting there listening to the show, if you're not buying anything for anybody this holiday season, that's fine. Think of what set you would like personally within this range. Kind of play a little game with yourself of like, what set would I like to grab under $25? So, West, I'm sorry, I got a little sidetracked there. What was your question again?
No, that was perfect. And my question was kind of how you approach that, and I will say too, right, for our listeners that as Grinch alluded to, right, like, we're not necessarily saying like this is the definitive guide, but if you are standing in the Target aisle and you're like, I need to go pick up a white elephant present for the office party and it's $50 and under, or I have a nephew and I'm or a niece or a friend and I have this price point in mind, but I just can't make up my mind on a set. Like, what would be a fun kind of pick? Maybe we can at least provide some inspiration for your decision at the very, least, which is kind of what I think we both intend to do. But so Grinch, what was kind of one of the ways that when you were picking one of, because you just had to get to pick one set, which is a tall order.
It was hard.
It was hard. And so what was kind of your thought process when you were looking at sets?
I mean, I first started like bias, right? Like, what would I like? And then I also kind of like went a step further of like, what would I like that I did not know that I wanted? Because I think that's the true power of a gift, right? So I think that's kind of the approach that I took. And then also, obviously, it's the holiday buying guide. So like, if you're imagining this as a present, I wanted my selections to be self-sufficient. And
yeah, that's a really great point.
Something like, modulars are cool, spoiler alert for what's coming up, but it's not like it leads you to want more modulars, right? Like you can't
Right.
just, like, if you never had a Lego set before, it's Christmas morning, you open a modular, like my first instinct would be like, I'm going to build this is going to be fun. But then after I built it, I wouldn't be like, oh, let's play with this, let's use it. It'd be like, I guess I got to go get more Lego and set up a city, right? Like that would be my natural.
Yeah.
And maybe that's just where I'm at right now as a collector versus where I would be back then. Like maybe I'd just be okay with one, but like it inherently kind of lends to adding. So for
No,
me,
I
that
take
was
your
kind of
point
the
though.
second question, right?
Yeah, you wanted to pick a set where you could play with just that set
Right.
potentially, and you didn't feel obligated to have to expand it to kind of create that story in your mind. So
Exactly.
I think this is a really great point for us to start and just dive right in into our price points. And so our first price point tonight is 25 and under. And Grinch, you mentioned this. There are a ton of brickheads under the $25 mark, which makes sense for what they are. But oh my gosh, sorting through all of those brickheads, I was tempted to pick one or two of them myself, but I ended up not. So Grinch, what was your pick for your under 25 set?
Yeah, this was hard, and I think it was hard too because I was trying to pick of something more recent, right?
Yeah,
Because something that's been around since like last year is a little bit older at that point, right? So going back to what I talked about, I actually picked set 76288, which is the Iron Man and Iron Legion versus Hydra Soldier. And kind of what I was mentioning before, yes, you can technically add this to your larger Age of Ultron display with the other Age of Ultron set that's on shelf. But I really liked this set because it came with Iron Man, who's a really well known superhero, right? Like everybody likes Iron Man. But then it also came with your Legion soldiers and then a little kind of built up Hydra Fortress section with the Hydra soldiers. So there's a lot of playability here. There's a lot of replayability here. I was just kind of trying to picture myself as a kid opening this thing up and being like, okay, this is pretty cool, right? Like if it were a, you know, if my uncle had come over or whatever and they had got me this set, I'd be like, I'm so down for this. So that's really why I chose this one. It is a licensed theme, so it's well known. So that certainly helps, right? Like people know who Iron Man is. Great figure selection, a nice little small build. So you're still building Lego, not like a brick head where it's just kind of like the build and that's it. There's a nice little build section and a playable factor here. And overall, 4 minifigures. And at this price point, that was hard to come by. So that's
yeah,
why I liked it as well.
nice, nice. That is a fun set, and I think that's a great pick. My and I think I really like your point about picking like a minifigure who's iconic, like Iron Man, right? And
Mm-hmm.
for $20, getting an iconic minifigure like that, and those Iron Legions, which are effectively just Iron Men themselves too. I think this is a really great pickup. This is a Marvel Battle Pack kind of at its finest, in my opinion. So I think it's a great little set for $20. My first pick for this theme was set number 60425, the Jungle Explorer Waterplane. And I think I didn't think about this maybe explicitly, but I think this was part of my internal calculus going on, right? Subconsciously was exactly what you mentioned of like trying to find something that somebody could sort of play with on its own without needing to expand it and without having to put a lot of extra work into this. And this was one of the ones that really stood out to me. It's this great little plane. It's very swooshable, right? It comes with 3 alligators, one of them being a very unique and distinct alligator. My puppy's right here. Hi. And the plane is really fun. There's like a little build for trees and some forest, and the story, with like some blue carpet or some
Yeah.
green carpet or something, like you could just see a kid playing with that all afternoon, landing it on the carpeted floor as if that was kind of the water area, using a little outcropping under a table or something as like the jungle with the alligators, and I just felt like that was a really great set to play with, or had the potential to be played with, and so that was my pickup. It retails right now for $22.99. I believe it is out of stock on the Lego website, but I've seen them in
It's
stores, and
everywhere.
so
Yeah.
yeah, that's a fairly easy set to go pick up. So that's my pick for under 25.
I hate to say this because I feel like it sounds like a negative, but and I don't mean it that way. This is a very safe pick because I just like I feel like that's sometimes a bad thing in the world of like social media and like being divisive. Like
Sure.
like wow, way to pick something safe. But like if you're getting this for a Lego fan, right? Like I would be happy with this as somebody who's got a obscene Lego collection. I won't say how much, but like somebody who has a very big Lego collection. I would like this because I didn't necessarily buy it for myself, but there's like alligators in here, right? And like a baby alligator. So like a somebody who, I could see the value in this of, yeah, cool, it's a $20 set. Sweet. Now I don't have to go get alligators. Like those are great
Hmm.
alligators, right? It's got some good pieces in it too with the it's got a lot of the sloped triangular, or not slope, but triangular tile pieces, right? So it's just a very like safe. There's fun here, right? It screams adventure for like people who want to play with it because, like you said, all you need is a little blue spot of carpet in your house, and you're off, right? So there's a lot of just different, as Brickmaster would say on Lego Masters Australia, it's ticking a lot of the different boxes in the brief.
Yeah. No, and what I like about it too is it's fairly gender neutral, right? So it's, doesn't necessarily speak to something like overly masculine or overly feminine like some of the other Lego themes do.
Like
So you could,
Iron Man.
well, no, but some of the themes like Star Wars or Friends, right, are very sort of like gender coded, whether they intend to or not.
Yeah,
But this is one where if you had somebody in your life who enjoyed those kind of jungles or animals, or right, like
it's
there's
for
enough there,
everybody.
I think, for everybody, which is
Yep.
really cool. And then it's not a very divisive theme either, right? It's part of the city theme, it's part of their jungle kind of wave that came out this summer. So I think that's a really important factor too. Not to say that some of our themes based on existing materials or popular culture are necessarily bad, right? Because those are pretty popular as well. It's just that was something I was keeping in mind when I was picking some of my choices. But
Well, I think all but one of my choices are licensed. So,
and I actually kind of went the opposite direction. So but Grinch, let's move on to our $25 to $50 price range. This was a really great price range. I think this was the most expansive price range that we looked at, if I remember correctly. There was quite a bit here, and we both actually came in kind of in the middle of this price range. Interestingly enough, and well, we'll talk about this at the end, kind of how our prices matched up. But we both kind of came in here right around $35 on average. So, Grinch, what was your pick here for the $25 to $50 price range?
it's interesting you say that because I felt like I couldn't. This was a little bit easier for me in the fact that I narrowed it down to three sets pretty quickly. Whereas like 50 to 100, I was like, oh my God. Oh my God. Um, so my set, and I channeled my inner child, mixing words together on
Yeah,
this one. I picked 40755 Imperial Dropship versus Rebel Scout Speeder. This recently released. It's part of the 25th year of Lego Star Wars wave. And it's a classic battle pack. And I think I picked this one because you and I got a bunch of the original ones of these for Christmas, and we just had so much fun. But like, this just has it all for you. It has two little builds, six minifigures, and you can just have a big Star Wars battle with this, right? Like,
Yeah.
there's just so much that you can do with this set, and if you get another one, then like, whoa, even better, right? It just adds to it. It doesn't take anything away, and then you get like a little special exclusive droid, right? So, for me, this is just an excellent set. Especially as a gift, because you can't ever have too many of these, so you don't have to worry about like, oh crap. The other set I was looking at was the Fortnite Battle Llama, just purely because it was just such a good deal at $40 and 700 pieces. But that was so specific, it was a little bit less playable, right? And with this one, it's like, if you got multiple of them, you got multiple of them. That's even better, right? That's twice the fun now. And if you've got multiple llamas, it's like, well, okay, one was okay, two is not okay. With this, two's the party, right? So, I really liked it for that. The builds are really good too, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's something unique. It's Star Wars, so you can't really go wrong with Star Wars. It's a pretty safe IP too, because everybody kind of likes Star Wars. So that's why I chose this one. What do you think about this?
Well, this is a fantastic set, and like we've talked about this one in the past, right? This is the third iteration of this series of Imperial dropships and Rebel Scout speeders, and I would argue probably the one that has pushed it the most in terms of capability. The kind of the second generation of these sets was kind of a sort of a really distinctive modernization of the original series. This kind of took it and pushed the envelope even further in its own distinct and unique way, which I think is just really cool to see. And you open it up and you have your battle, right? So you've got your 3 Imperials, your 3 Rebels, you've got 2 ships. You don't really need anything more than that to kind of have fun. So I think that's kind of a perfect set for a stocking stuffer, and at priced at $40, like, man, what a great price for that set. So for everything you're getting in there, I think that's fantastic. I mean, if it were $30, that'd be even crazier, but we could dream.
$30 on a lump of coal for you, sir. No, but I feel like this is one that, like, if you got like a younger kid, right, like your son or whatever, daughter, like, you'd open presents on Christmas morning, and then you'd be like, anyways, I'm gonna go play with this now. No. I know there's that stuff there, but like, I'm just gonna, like this, like your little ADD kid is like over there, like, and I can say that because I'm ADD, and I would totally do this myself, is over there like building this while like waiting for their turn to open the next present.
Yeah.
Like all of a sudden, a drop ship just crashes in on you, and you're just like, bro, open your socks, please. Just open that for grandma and grandpa real quick.
So. And this set is a great one too if you have like you're visiting cousins or you have nieces or nephews, and you want to buy them something substantial that you think is going to capture their attention and be really meaningful, but isn't breaking the bank. And I think that's where this is a really great set. So I think that's a great pick, Grinch.
What did you pick?
Well, my pick for the 25 series is set number 42167, the Mac LR electric garbage truck. And this is, interestingly, a Technic set. But what stood out to me about this set was not so much the Technic side of it, but it is a very complete Technic set. So some Technic sets kind of look almost skeletal in their sort of framework, right? This one is very built up. The sides are very completed. The frame of it's very completed. So you don't have some of the like the Lego glass that you see in some of the kind of the Lego standard, but you do still see a very complete set. What's really cool about this set is it comes with a garbage pail that includes kind of some debris, and it's the mechanism that the set has to pick it up. And it's a very technical mechanism that uses a really clever technique that I don't know how I don't know how the real mechanism on these trucks works. I would imagine it's probably something very, very similar, but it uses just a really interesting technique using those gears where it takes an arm, it lowers it, and then once it's lowered and it stops, the movement is then transferred into these grippers that then grip the trash can, and then you can pick it up and dump it into
Mm-hmm.
the truck. And I just think that capability or that process is really fun to watch and see. It's got this really great movement on it, and then you can dump the debris in the back, I would assume, and kind of start that process all over again. And so it's very self-contained. It's a very technical build, so it's a little challenging. But again, at $32 or $33, you're not breaking the bank, and it's not, this 18 plus Technic set with a lot of moving pieces. So I think it's really approachable, but also kind of really unique in that sense. So
I'll have to ask my garbage man how that mechanism works because my city uses these, and all he does is smack 3 buckets together and dumps one over and leaves it in my yard, and that to call it a complaint. Garbage man, if you're listening, I'm sorry, that was me that complained about you. I actually was gonna say, like, do you think it's a little too risky to do something Technic? And I'm gonna eat my own words here because I feel like it's not. I feel like going back to what I was saying when we outlined it, it's a perfect opportunity. Like if you've got somebody who likes Lego, why not get them? Like I don't really have any Technic sets. I would not never buy this for myself, but if somebody gave this to me as a gift, that would be cool because I'd be like, oh yeah, like it's safe to try. Like I didn't have to spend my money on this, and like I had actually enjoyed this Technic set all of a sudden, right? Like,
yeah,
so it's kind of a perfect way to approach a gift in this case, right?
and I think the mechanism is so unique, and is one that, like, I think you'd show your friends, you'd show your
Mm-hmm.
parents, you'd show it off to your kids, your cousins, and I think everyone would be kind of mesmerized by it. That I think it's just one of those things where it's just a really easy sell, because you're right. Like, maybe it's not the gift that you would get for yourself if I gave you $33 or $50 and locked you into the Lego store and said you can't leave until you buy something.
I would
Right? Like
probably
this,
go to Pick a Brick.
this probably wouldn't be the set that you would buy, but I think it is still a really interesting set. And I think if it's one that you were given,
Mm-hmm.
which I think is an important element to this list, I think it
Right.
would be something that would be very excited, that you'd be very excited to have, and that you wouldn't necessarily, you get a lot of enjoyment out of.
Yeah.
So, but hey, let's move on to our $50 to $100 theme. This is where things start to get really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
You and I both took our $50 to $100 theme, and we went right for the $100 mark, which is totally fair.
Womp womp.
Totally illegal, I suppose.
We saved $20 from the other part, so we.
So Grinch, take it away. What was your $100 set suggestion?
All right. I went with the Fortnite Battle Bus. I had to. It's new. It's exciting. I'm not even a Fortnite fan, and I'm gonna get the dang thing. It comes with a load of Fortnite minifigures that are all like super unique and fun because it's like based off Fortnite skins, and it's a very unique build. So I think if it's, if you're buying for a Lego collector or a Lego fan that necessarily isn't into Fortnite, like it's still a cool bus build, right? And then it's got the blimp on top of it, right? It's got the battle bus, and then it's just got a really intricate assortment of minifigures as well that kind of adds to the collectability and the uniqueness of, giving a Lego fan everything that they'd want as far as having some unique kind of different minifigure pieces to add to their piece palette, right? So um, maybe the newness here got me. Maybe the hype of the Fortnite sets got me, but I know there's been actually quite a lot of hype around these sets in general. So I think it's just kind of one thing that's exciting, and I feel like it'd be, one thing that you'd potentially remember that holiday season by is, oh, I got all the Fortnite sets, right? So I wanted to get that Fortnite set on here somewhere, and that's why another reason I didn't do that llama set is because I was like, no, this is the penultimate Fortnite set.
Penultimate or ultimate?
Ultimate.
No, that's totally fair, and I would agree. And this is definitely, if you had to pick one of them. I also am not much of a, well, at all. I have never played Fortnite, but even I recognize the cultural impact of the battle bus. And you're right. Like even for those of the builders who just want to pick up like a cool colored bus, like this is it. So I think that's a great pick for the $100 theme. It's complicated, but it's not overly complicated. And so you're ostensibly you're getting this price point for a more seasoned builder, probably 10 and up, I suppose. Although, no harm, no foul if you're not. That's okay too.
Speak for yourself, West.
I'm just saying, you can certainly buy $100 Lego sets for a 7-year-old, but the point is, I think it's a really great pick for this, and it's topical, right? And it's a newer set, so this would be a very like on brand set for Christmas 2024. So
right.
I think that totally makes sense. I took things in a little bit of a different direction. Like we talked about, there's a lot of sets in this $50 to $100 range that start to kind of increase in complexity and scale. And I really struggled with this one. I think I originally was going to pick one of the Harry Potter sets, one of the Diagon Alley sets. In fact, I think I was going to pick the new one. But I just felt like that was maybe a little too thematically oriented. And so the one that I came back to was this Creator 3-in-1 Modern House set 31153. It retails for $99 and 99 cents. So just 1 cent under 100. I know how that works out. I felt that pain in the past. And
I ended up buying a $300 set.
This one was just really fun. We talked about at the beginning of our recording, at the beginning of our podcast journey this year, we talked about how the Friends Beach House, that modern house set, was really
I almost picked it
and different. And but it was in the Friends style, right? So there was a lot of colorways to it. It was very modern. It was very unique. But for those of you who still could not approach that one because it's a Friends set, or for those of us who are like, I love the set, but I don't know what I would do with the mini dolls or whatever, right? Like this is, I think, Lego's answer for that. And
that set was also $200, right?
It was. I think it was more than $100, so it was in the next price point up. This Creator 3-in-1 modular and the 3-in-1 series is actually one that I think I'm not gonna. I think fans sometimes sleep on it a little bit, and I think there's a lot to appreciate with the 3-in-1 series, and especially with this house. I think it looks really cool. There's a lot of opportunity to expand it if you were to get multiple sets of these. I know that kind of goes beyond our price point, but the fun thing with the Creator 3-in-1 series is it does give you the opportunity to take it apart. You can build the second one and you can build the third one, and you are truly buying 3 sets in one. And if you're somebody who likes to just build stuff and leave it, this gives you a really fun opportunity. I would ask or suggest maybe that you start with the set that you think you're going to tear apart right away and build that one first. Just build something different and unique. Take it apart, build the second one, and then the one that you're kind of wanting to keep up, make that the last set that you build, and then really put yourself through that 3-in-1 pace. And that way you truly are buying or getting the 3-set experience in one set. And I think they do a really great job of Lego of kind of distinguishing them enough. But like I said, this one just really stands out for me. It's really fun, and I'm excited to see kind of what people do with this in the larger AFOL community. So Grinch, what do you think? What are your thoughts on that Creator 3-in-1 house? This one's a bit of a softer pick, I think.
No, I think it's interesting because I feel like in some regards I maybe went for some of the more obvious picks. And I like that you've gone for some of the more dark horse kind of deep hits, because if you're shopping for somebody who's a Lego fan, like if they like Lego Fortnite, they probably have Lego Fortnite, but they might have missed or mixed, jumped over this set because Fortnite was revealed and maybe forgot about it, right? I mean, certainly it's one that I forgot about until you mentioned it on the list or until I saw your list, right? So, and those, again, kind of going back to the whole idea of giving the gift, like sometimes that's the safer approach to go. I know like our mom still buys us Lego every once in a while. So she was like, oh, I need to buy you a Lego for Christmas. So what do you want? And I'm just like, here's like, just log into my Lego account so you can have my wish list so you don't buy me something I already have. Like, if that's your fear, I feel like this is a very safe pick, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, this is a great pick. So I like it.
Nice. Well, for our next price point, we're looking at the $100 to $200 price point. This is where we're really starting to get into some serious Lego sets.
Mm-hmm.
This is where a lot of our ideas and icons line sits. This is where, for some of your city, your Star Wars, right? This is your upper scale, your larger play sets, if not the largest play set in that wave, is kind of in this price point and price range. This is definitely kind of sets geared towards more teen and older fans of Lego, right? They're definitely a little more complicated, a little bit more collectible. You can really kind of wade into some tricky territory here because I think there's some real hits and misses in this theme, depending on, like you mentioned in the Creator 3-in-1 series, like if you're a really big fan of Lego, right? Like there's some deep and big hits in this price point range, but there's also, if you're very polarized about your choice for Lego too, you can really kind of find some stuff that maybe you're not as big of a fan of. So
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a really interesting price point, and I think we both have some really interesting answers. So Grinch, what was your suggestion for the $100 to $200 price point?
The final licensed set on my list is the Dark Falcon Star Wars. I had to roll with this thing. I mean,
Yeah.
it is just a collector's item, in my opinion. You got the Beach Luke, the light side Darth Vader. You got Darth C-3PO, the other random dude. I forget who the other random dude is. Darth Ray, Darth Jar Jar. I mean, we've talked about it before on the show, but like the best build for a Millennium Falcon. I think we talked about it with Mavericks. Shout out to Mavericks. Follow him on Instagram at Mavericks. We talked about it there, where Lego's gone through a lot of renditions of the Millennium Falcon,
Mm-hmm.
and this specific style is just the best way they've really ever come up with it. It's also the more recent way, but it just, if you haven't had a Falcon in a while, if you maybe got burnt out of Star Wars like I did, like this is kind of a breath of fresh air and maybe something people overlooked originally because it was just another Star Wars set. So for me, this is kind of just a fun set in general and one that I think would make an excellent gift in this price point.
Yeah. I think this was an excellent choice, Grinch. I think we talked about this in the past. And to be, just to kind of paint a picture for the audience, the older play scale Millennium Falcons had these gaps in the panels that went across the top of them, and they
Mm-hmm.
opened up really nicely. They kind of opened up. Sorry, really excited here to share with the audience. They kind of opened up and bloomed, um, and that was, I think, a really great discussion, or like a really great build for access into the Millennium Falcon. This new one, the panels are they're larger, they're more connected. It kind of opens up into quarters, but it does what it allows the builders to do, is to connect these panels in a more realistic looking way that really eliminates as many gaps as possible and just creates
Mm-hmm.
a really fantastic looking model. And this one, especially, like you mentioned, is a huge collector's hit, and maybe one that people are a little hesitant to buy themselves just because it is so unique. It's based off of basically a collaboration between Lego and Disney and Star Wars in the Rebuild the Universe series. I haven't really heard a ton about how well that's done, and
It kind of
so
came and went, didn't it?
yeah, it did. So I think this is probably one that, like, somebody it sort of wants. It's like a sleeper hit, right? But they're like, I don't know if I want to spend it myself, or they might be a little reluctant to go and pick that up with their own money, just because they're like, if I have this much money, I want to buy, some smaller sets, not this larger one. So I think this is a fantastic suggestion. And for the people who are big fans of Lego, right? Like, this is a very unique set that we probably will never get again. A once in a lifetime Lego set, in my
Mm-hmm.
my opinion. So my pick is a little bit different. I went with the Lego Icon series, the Porsche 911 set
Old
number
school.
10 or 10295. Retails at $170. And I really liked this set. It's in the Icon series. We have a series of vehicles that are built, right? They release one every year or so. And they're always really great looking. They've just been getting better and better. But the Porsche, I think, really stands out for me because they capture the curves of the vehicle really well. They capture the doors, and there's some really great mechanisms there that are captured extremely well. And I think it just looks fantastic. Grinch, what's your take?
This is the oldest set on the list by a far. I think this came out in 2021, right?
It definitely is older, and
Yeah.
I'm sure
I'm
it's about
actually
to
I'm
retire.
actually on Brickset and it said it retired in 2023, but it's still available on lego.com. So I like, again, I like the pick because, at this point it somebody doesn't have it, maybe they don't know they want it, right? And again,
Yeah.
going back to like why you give a gift, it's not to just buy something for somebody that they want, right? Like as an if this is $170, so you're probably buying this for a significant other, right? Maybe you're an older adult buying it for an older kid. Like this is a perfect example of like when you get a gift for somebody that they don't know that they want yet, right? And maybe this is a good foray into Lego. Maybe you're buying a gift for somebody who's expressed interest in Lego cars. Like start here because this one is about to retire.
Yeah, absolutely. And the Porsche 911 too is a very iconic car. And
Mm-hmm.
so I think it's one it's a big crowd pleaser. This would be a great gift for like your dad or your mom. Maybe your dad, right?
For your mom.
But like, for that adult in your life that maybe is like maybe they really like Porsche 911s. Maybe they have one, but that you're like, hey, have you seen this Lego set? Like this thing looks
Yeah.
great and would look great on your desk or something like that. And like it's kind of a great foray. It's complicated, right? So if somebody likes models but they haven't gotten into Legos, like this is a really great way to be like, look at what the theme can do, and look at how like precise this can be, and just how the brick sculpting in this I think looks really really great. Like I said, it is older, right? It's the newer sets in this theme definitely push the boundaries a little bit more. That's definitely true, but I still think it looks fantastic for what it is, and really kind of shines in this price point. So
Mm-hmm. I totally agree. It's a good pick. One that I honestly forgot about. So
thank you. Yeah. Although I will say, here's the problem with the Lego website, right? Is that you can find retired sets on the Lego website, and so and Grinch, you know this better than anyone else. They will say retired, they will say back order or out of stock. And can you walk us through what those kind of the differences between? Obviously,
um,
retired is pretty
if it
straightforward,
says retired, it's gone. This one's
right?
not retired. I think that's an issue on Brickset's part. If it says if you go up to it and it says um, back ordered, that means you could purchase it. Like they've got more on the way, right? So like you
Right.
can purchase it, and they have like a shipment they're about to receive. So they can they'll usually tell you like, okay, this you can expect this in like a month. If it says out of stock, and of course you have to click through onto the actual set page itself. You can't just do this from the you know
The
product
main kind of,
thumbnails.
yeah,
Yeah,
shopping
you have to
page.
actually click onto it. And if you click onto it, and if it says temporarily out of stock, that means it's coming back. If it says sold out, that's it. It's gone.
Yeah.
So for example, Mos Eisley says sold out now. So they're not going to restock that. It is not temporarily out of stock. It is sold out.
And so for all
So,
intents and purposes, it's
mhm,
retired.
yes,
At least you will not be able to buy it from Lego Shop at home.
correct.
You
So
probably could still
if
pick it up in a Lego store, maybe.
maybe, or Amazon or Walmart or something like that.
Right. Right.
I think when we had Mav on, we were talking about that because he was like, I don't know if I should get the Mos Eisley Cantina or not. And
I
then
hope you did.
we did that. And he did. He messaged us. He's like, I got it. And I was like, ah,
Nice.
good.
Good for him. All right, Grinch, we have our last price point here for the night. This is the $200 and above.
Mm-hmm.
And this is really kind of where we are cooking for our adult fans of Lego.
Now we're
right?
cooking with oil.
Exactly. And this price point, I mean, it can go anywhere from $200 to like $700. It is definitely, I think, our smallest, number of sets under consideration.
Mm-hmm.
But there's some big and heavy hitters here.
It's also the hardest because it's the
Yeah.
smallest, and usually, I mean, we're talking about Barad-dûr, we're talking about Rivendell,
Right.
NASA Artemis Space Launch System,
The
Eiffel Tower. I mean, Jinx, you owe me a Lego Eiffel Tower. There's a lot here. So
Yeah. So,
I
Grinch, take it away. What was your pick?
I used all my power to not pick a licensed one. I'm just kidding. I love Barad-dûr. If you've got a Lord of the Rings fan, easy buy. However, I wanted to stay true to my methodology, and I was recently at the Lego store buying the X Mansion, and I was not going to buy the set until I saw it in person, and kind of sticking to what I've been preaching this whole time of like, sometimes getting a gift is about giving somebody something they didn't know they wanted. I mean, that's the fun in giving a gift, in my opinion. Obviously, this list is our opinion. And I went with the Lego Botanical Gardens.
Nice pick.
It's had a lot of really good reviews so far. Maybe a bit repetitive because you're putting the flowers together, but I think there's two schools of people when it comes to the Botanical Garden set.
Mm-hmm.
There's the people who knew they wanted it on day one, who said it's 10% of the Lego fans, and there's everybody who doesn't know they want it yet. And maybe it'll be like, this kind of years or this half century or half decades version of Barracuda Bay that we got a few years ago, where it's going to sit on shelves for 3 years, it's going to retire, and then everybody's, people are going to be like, I want that set. That's what I did.
Myself
That's
included.
what West did. I know there's a lot of people who just bought into the hype right away and bought Barracuda Bay, but I do think this will be similar, and it's just going to kind of stick around for 3 years. Had some hype to start. It's going to kind of fizzle off, and what a better time than right now to get this. And I think it didn't quite sell as well as the X Mansion because the Cerebro gift with purchase sold out, I believe, within the day.
Mm-hmm.
The Botanical Gardens Gate sold out. I think it lasted the entire weekend. At least online it did.
Yeah. So it probably was in stores a little longer too.
Yeah, that tells me though that more people went to the X Mansion, which also tells me they just bought a $300 Lego set. So if you want to make that this is a $300 Lego set. So you're not buying this for a white elephant unless you're doing it amongst VPs.
In which case, please invite me to that party.
I'm there.
I don't know if I can buy a $300 Lego set, but I'll receive one.
No. I'll just go under budget and get like
there
a $5.
You go. Yeah.
No, but
you said not to exceed $300. I didn't do it.
Keyword was exceed, right? Okay.
Right.
All jokes aside, though, I think this is a set that all Lego fans recognize as good, but not all Lego fans recognize that they want right away. At least just from what I've picked up. So, I think it makes an excellent gift and one that would you build this throughout your winter vacation or your winter break and enjoy it. Little touch of spring in the heart of winter. We just got our first snow today, so certainly feeling winter here. So maybe that's why I was liking it. But I don't know. What do you think?
I think that's a great pick. I think it's a fantastic build, or it looks like it's a fantastic build. I think it's varied enough. It's got a lot of different techniques and styles in it. Sure, it's a little repetitive in some cases, but I think it serves the larger story. It's not a Captain America shield repetitive.
Oh God!
It's not a.
I made my wife help me with that set. I think I said that.
First generation roller coaster repetitive. So I think that totally makes sense, and I think that's a really great pick because, like you said, I think it's one where as buyers, we might not necessarily pick that one up ourselves, but would be more than happy to receive. So my pick for the $200 and above is set 10320, the El Dorado Fortress, coming in at $215. And when I was looking through this series, was taken aback by the number of themed sets here, based off of IP. And I really just wanted to pick something that I felt like was generic, kind of spoke to everybody. And so, yeah, I went with the nostalgia factor. Sue me. I really like this set. I have not even picked it up myself, but I think it looks really great.
But you're going to.
It's it's contained, right? I mean, you have your pirate ship or your ship, you have your soldiers, right? You have enough there to kind of, if you wanted to kind of tell a story or engage with it in a more intimate way, in play, an imaginative play, right? I think there's a lot of possibility there. I think it improves vastly upon the source material, the original generation, that first generation set, right? Things that were built up in a base plate are now built out of just Lego brick. Those basically 5 by 6 tall castle pieces are now brick built, right? So there's just a lot of really cool pieces to the set. I think it's just a really fun set to look at, and I'm sure it's a great set to build. And so I just think this would be a wonderful set for that $200 price point. And there's no, there was no competition for staying close or, who could find the most expensive set. But at $215, you're definitely not breaking the bank like, the Eiffel Tower or the Titanic or some of the other heavy hitters in this theme. So I think it's a really great set from that perspective too. And I think the universal sort of fondness for this set and this kind of genre of sets is it makes this one a great pick for your family, loved ones, etc.
Are we allowed to make Titanic jokes without getting canceled? Because
it's certainly been long enough,
right? Okay, because the Titanic breaks itself. Ha! Okay. You said break the bank. Titanic falls apart because it breaks its iceberg. Okay, never mind. R.I.P.
Nice.
People on Titanic. Sorry.
Too soon.
Oh, dang it, dude! I asked. I asked you, and you said it wasn't too soon.
So, Grinch, what do you think? What's your thoughts on the El Dorado Fortress?
All right. I know the majority of our listeners are male because Spotify knows, so I know. Thanks, Spotify creeps. But they're surprisingly, I think 30% of our listeners are female. One of them's probably my wife. But aside from that, this is, I feel like the dad Christmas gift where the kid just opened their, Dark Millennium Falcon and the dad opened this and like both are like equally as excited, right? Yeah. Like, oh my gosh, I had this as a kid. Like, oh my gosh, this is all I ever wanted. So I love the pick. I also have this set. It is also awesome. So personal experience. It's a great set. And I think you hit every remark there too. Obviously, the little side chip leaves a little bit to be desired. Maybe the weakest part of the set overall, but just a cool looking set. A lot you can do here. A lot you can build up. I mean, it's a fort, for God's sake. So totally agree. Great pick for all the reasons you stated.
Nice. So those are our picks for our 2024 holiday buying guide. We will post... I think, we'll make a thumbnail or something and we'll post that up onto our channel for our listeners to see. But before, we kind of, as we wrap up this discussion, one of the things that we wanted to kind of share was sort of the set that sort of we, I think individually, were kind of looking forward to the most, I suppose, or maybe, the set that we hoped we could get for the holiday season. So Grinch, what's the kind of the set for you that's like your, the one that's like, that you want
my holiday wish list set?
Yeah.
Well, I will treat myself. My wife has kind of stopped buying me Lego at this point because
She
she's
knows.
like she just
She knows you're
knows.
just gonna buy it yourself.
Yeah, and actually it's funny because my birthday just happened, so our mom did buy me some Lego, and she she was like, "What's your password?" You know, blah blah blah. So I gave it to her, and then I like saw what she got, and it was just so funny because it was literally like the Loot Llama and the midi scale Millennium Falcon, and I was like, "What a random like of all the things to pick from my wish list on Lego.com." what like two random sets. But no, the one I'm most excited for, and I almost included it on the list, is the Endurance.
Oh yeah.
That is going to be my holiday 2024 set, and it'll be very interesting when I drag my in-laws to the Lego store on Black Friday to go get it, so I can get that gift with purchase. That'll be a fun experience for everybody involved.
I think the Endurance is a great pick. What a fantastic looking build and set, and I think by and large, it'll make a great addition to kind of the Lego uh, ship theme. And you mentioned the Titanic, so I got to throw this out there. And I'm not the first to mention this, but Lego definitely has an affinity for building ships that seem to uh, not live the length or the lifespan that they were intended to live. So,
Yeah, what are we
uh,
getting next?
English ships that sunk is the Lego theme that seems to be to really big there. So, for any of you who like Lego but also are into the history of ships or ocean liners, yeah, what's the next British ship that we're gonna get
Mm-hmm.
that has sunk prematurely? So pass it on to our listeners to kind of tease out a little bit. I'll share. I haven't really thought about this, to be honest. The set. I usually try to pick up the holiday sets. We've talked about it on the channel that the Winter Village sets were kind of my set to get during the holiday and the one I looked forward to the most. I did pick up the set this year already, so
Mm-hmm.
I have that one. I think that really was the holiday 2024 set that I was excited to see. At this point, the only other set that I would say that kind of comes about around that holiday time would be the next modular building set that we're expecting here to be released. That is usually one that we start to see pictures of leading up into Christmas, and then following Christmas is when the advanced kind of pre-copies get released, and then you start to see sort of the insides of it. And by January 1st, it's available to Lego insiders and
West, you can't
stuff.
cop out. What set do you want for Christmas?
Oh man, that's a great question. Um,
Waiting
I'll,
for my great answer.
I think I'd have to think on it a little bit. So, it's yeah, I don't know. This year's
Maybe
different. And
El Fortress.
I certainly wouldn't say no. Um, of course,
Well,
obviously,
I'm not getting it for you. We said you had to get it for somebody that you cared for deeply.
that's fair. Um, no, I think the Eldorado Fortress would be great. I think the Concord model would be great. I'm in a weird spot this year where I'm staring at another move again this summer. So I have been amassing Lego, but not necessarily building it yet because of that. So I don't, I'm trying to be a little bit more disciplined with what I'm picking up at the moment. So yeah,
I'm also moving this summer, and I have no shame.
that's fair. That's fair.
Well, I don't know when I'm moving yet, but it'll be soon.
So Grinch, as we wrap up this segment, I just wanted to leave one kind of final question for you, which was, what
Mm-hmm.
is your favorite holiday Lego memory, or do you have a favorite holiday Lego memory?
I think like don't underestimate the power of the little $20 gifts
Yeah.
and their memorability factor. Because one of my first ever Lego Christmas gifts was the original snow speeder.
Oh,
Loved
great
that
pick.
thing. Had so much fun with it. And like I've gotten a lot of Lego as gifts in my life, and I still remember that set.
Yeah.
And it's just a $20 snow. I mean, it's a kind of a crappy set now, right? Like comparatively. Um and the other set that I got, this was the first Lego set my wife ever got me, was the Doctor Strange Sanctum Sanctorum set from the first movie, not the Sanctum from Infinity War, like the just the kind of wall of the upper window of the Sanctum. Pretty crappy set itself as well. Great minifigures, of course. It was Marvel, and that was another $30 set.
Yeah.
So those two are some of like my favorite sets I've ever gotten as gifts. And they don't have to be $300. They don't have to be $200.
Yeah.
One was older, one's more recent, right? I mean, I guess the Sanctum Sanctorum one's 2016, but alas, my point is like the memorable sets don't have to be the ginormous sets, right? They can just be the ones that mean the most for whatever reason. So those are probably two of my happier favorite holiday Lego memories.
So, in other words, your favorite holiday Lego memory was the friends you made along the way?
Exactly, the little plastic people that talk to me. Wait, what? What
Oh,
about you,
dear.
West?
Yeah. No,
You're like, yeah, we knew we had trouble, but we didn't realize it was that much trouble.
I would say I think my favorite holiday Lego memory is, distinctly putting together the train every year that we got. That we
Mm-hmm.
got one year for Christmas, and then we incorporated into the Christmas. For us, that was part of our Christmas decorating. Was where are we going to set up the Lego train this year? And because Legos were a through line for us for Christmas, it wasn't every year or every we'd get a set or two for Christmas, so it wasn't like everything we
That was
gifts we
that
got.
was our Lego haul was
Right.
Christmas. Yeah.
And so, but because the train was kind of a central item there, it really kind of became something we could build stuff around, right? If it was
Right.
a city or a little diorama, or expanding the train with other trains, or that really kind of became a central feature for us. And so I just remember fondly us building that and playing with it and incorporating it. It feels like Christmas, hearing it kind of click and clack around the living room. So
Mm-hmm.
that I would say is probably one of my favorite holiday Lego memories.
Good pick.
Well, that is our 2024 holiday Lego buying guide. For our listeners, let us know, if this helps you, if this inspires you in some way, if you use the buying guide yourself, how successful that was. We'd love to get your feedback on that. If
If
you
it
agree
was
with us,
not
if you disagree
successful,
with us, yeah, what are your picks for these price points?
what are we building?
So, Grinch, what are you building this week?
Well, I said on this last episode I was finishing up my Lego ideas.
Yeah,
It got sent back because one of the photos was too dark, so that's annoying. So
but you did get
hopefully
it submitted, correct?
I did, yeah. So hopefully it's still submitted by the time this airs. Like, because we're recording on Thursday, so I don't actually know, but I've got a feeling it'll be like ready to go either like right on Monday or Friday is my hope.
Well, for our listeners, assuming that it does get accepted by the Lego committee on first kind of pass, we
Second
will
pass.
second pass. We will link a link to the Lego ideas set on our link tree on our Instagram. And so,
Mm-hmm.
if you have the time, I'm sure Grinch appreciates giving him a thumbs up, a vote of approval. I have taken
You
a
have
look at
to
the
hit
barn
support.
myself. Yeah, some support. It looks fantastic. It's a really fun set, and Grinch did a really great job of kind of building in some interesting building techniques on a non-square or rectangular base, and so it's really fun. So I'm really proud of what you put together there, Grinch. It looks great.
Your check is in the mail, West. Thank
There
you
we
for the
go.
endorsement.
You can
Um,
send me an autographed copy.
So I actually didn't build like this is the first time I didn't have brick. Like, what are we building? Because I finished that. I submitted that on Monday, on Sunday, and then it got rejected this morning on Thursday. And so I fixed that up tonight. I fixed it up, got it resubmitted, and I did buy um, because Myers, the grocery store, has Speed Champions and Creator 3-in-1 on sale. So I had a couple Speed Champions on my list. So I got those.
Nice.
I had to build them. I got the Ford Mustang, the Audi. I don't know what car it is. It's just an Audi, and I like Audis. And the Camaro, the NASCAR Camaro.
Oh, that one's fun. That one,
Yeah.
that one's
So I
been
got
on kind of
those
my list.
three. I have to build them. And then I've also just been enjoying something non Lego because I also like non Lego stuff. Imagine that. And watching Arcane season 2. So I
Nice.
was traveling the week prior, so I had to get caught up on that. So I've been working on getting caught up on that the rest of my life. I built my daughter's nursery this weekend, so like that was kind of important as well. So
Yeah,
the
I'm sure she'll
old
appreciate that.
adult Lego joke, like building furniture. So
Yeah.
I had a busy weekend. It just wasn't like
Yeah.
chock full of Lego stuff.
No, that's understandable. Well, I actually, my wife and I ventured out into Washington, D.C. this last weekend, which was exciting. I know Grinch and I have never really mentioned on purpose where we are currently located. We are located all around the country. We've sort of given you hints in the episodes of some of our, where we've frequented, if you will. But I do think, in confidence and without giving too much away, I can tell our listeners that Grinch and I grew up in the Washington D.C. area. I'm going to leave it at
You
that.
you mean this Washington D.C. poster that's above my right shoulder? Didn't give that away.
Well, maybe you just liked it, like the poster. So
Totally.
that is where we grew up, and so we took an opportunity to get back there this weekend, which was really exciting. And I actually got to visit the National Air and Space Museum.
For the
And
100th time.
fair. This is the one downtown, actually, on the National Mall, and it has been under construction, and it's still under construction. And so, if you are going to go visit it right now, you actually have to go onto their website and get a pass. And they do timed entry only, and you can't get in unless you have a pass. But you do get to see the new exhibits. Um, the main hall has been completely restored and redone. There's some of the old favorites that are still there, but they've definitely changed stuff up, and they have a new sort of theme for it, which has been really interesting to see. It's definitely
Lego?
more STEM oriented. It always has been sort of the educational Air and Space Museum of the two, where the other one is kind of more just airplanes to go see. But this one is definitely more STEM oriented, more educationally oriented, and new way that they've curated the museum definitely leans towards that education piece. And I think that's really interesting. One of the things there that was cool to see, actually, as somebody who really likes not only kind of airplane museums, but also one of the things that I like to go look at is the stores to those museums, because sometimes they can have some really interesting and unique gifts, but also books and stuff like that. And the Air and Space Museums are no exception. That is actually at the Udvar-Hazy Air and Space Museum where I bought my NASA Women of Space sets years ago. And this year at the Air and Space Museum, they had a ton of Lego. And they had, what was interesting about it was everything that was Lego space. They had Star Wars, they had City, as long as it was airplane or space oriented. They had Friends, as long as it was space or airplane oriented. And so you could definitely see a very distinct curation in the museum. And
Mm-hmm.
while I was there, I saw the Buzz Lightyear X-15 set for sale, which I believe has since retired.
Yeah.
I don't think it was super popular. I remember seeing it on end caps at Targets and stuff as still a set that hadn't sold extremely well.
Which is
Um,
why they probably still have it and it's
yes.
retired.
Now they were selling it for the retail price of $60. It is $50 on Amazon. If you are interested in getting it, I would highly suggest you pick one up. this is a set that Tiaggio has actually recommended and was really impressed with. And I think there was just sort of an issue with the Buzz Lightyear movie that just didn't quite do as well as Disney had hoped it would. And so the set kind of came and went and just didn't generate the buzz around it, pun intended. I'm on a roll tonight. And oh dear. And so this set has kind of sat around and languished a little bit. And so
Buzz.
I would highly recommend it. I think it's a really fun looking set. It's a great play set. And I think this is, a fantastic set for a space fan in your family, a Disney fan in your family, or just anyone kind of looking for a fun zoomable sized object to kind of build and display. So
yeah, you'll have to let me know how that set is. I always liked it and enjoyed it from afar and was like this close to getting it.
I was too, and I finally just bit the bullet because I was like, the price is good on Amazon. Like, let's go for it. So yeah, I haven't built it, but that is what I will build this week.
Nice. Brick mail.
Next, let's get on to some brick mail. And last week we had a ton. This week we had a lot of comments on YouTube and Instagram, which we appreciate. But we are going to feature an email. And Grinch, do you want to take it away?
Hello, Grinch and West. I caught up to your 11/11 episode last Friday and caught the Lego Ideas episode today, so I have officially binged your archives over the past few weeks. That is dedication, sir. Well done to you. I found it by searching Lego Podcasts, and you guys have scratched that itch better than most attempts so far. Nothing has matched the late lamented For the Love of Brick podcast for hitting exactly what I wanted out of Lego Podcast, but after 3 years, I don't think that's coming back. I have honestly never heard of that podcast, so I'm glad we can scratch that itch for you. I am probably 3 to 6 years older than the two of you, so your references are all very much in my wheelhouse, though my interests very much skew older rather than newer. I actually tried making a Lego podcast with my own brother once, but life and kids and desperate time zones killed that. So I very much appreciate the hard work that goes into your work. Well, thank you for that.
Yes, thank
With
you.
regards to Lego Ideas, I find it is the theme most sharply defines what I think about current Lego sets. I'll admit that I'm very much backwards looking rather than forwards. I probably spend more on used Lego in a year than new Lego. Some of this is budgetary. I'm clearly spending less on than the two of you, but a lot of it is interest. I'd rather spend $100 on a giant Sterilite container and find elements in old gray mixed in than spend $100 on a new set. I'm not in a dark age. I had what I called a dim age in college, and just after when I had neither time nor money, but know where my interests are most and my resources go there. So when I see a new Lego sets, it's usually a reaction of cool, but I'm not going to buy it. This extends to the ideas in particular, though here it might be a wow, this is really expensive, cool, but I'm not going to buy it. All of which is to say, I suppose that I co-sign on the take that Barracuda Bay is the best idea set. And then sign Control Alt TOA. So thank you very much for writing into the podcast. I think there's a bit to unpack there. And I totally get like I feel like I spent most of like coming out of my dark age of like catching up and buying used sets of like what did I miss? And I feel like over the past maybe 3 years, I finally got in a position where that's changing and more forward looking, and my bank account is loving me for that now. And like I'm to a point now where like I used to just carry a pretty long wish list on like Brickset and Lego.com, and right now the only wish list I have on Brickset is for the 25th anniversary minifigures for Star Wars, because I'm just not going to buy the sets. And
that's fair.
That's it.
Yeah.
Well, I guess there's like 3 sets I still want, but I don't actually know if I'm going to get them. So.
Well, thank you for writing in too, and I think this is a really interesting take. One of the things that I like that he brings up, I'm assuming it's a he. Apologize if I misgendered you. Is that you are talking about engaging in Lego, but not necessarily having to go buy new stuff. And I think, especially during our time in the pandemics when we got really conditioned to just buying stuff off of Amazon and sort of clicking and forgetting, buying things in bulk, right? I think we've, unfortunately, as a society, kind of maybe overindulged in our consumerism a little bit of buying new stuff. I mean, certainly you and I talk about buying new Lego all the time. I don't think this means that you have to go buy used, but I do think there are opportunities to buy used Lego that is just as good as the new stuff. And especially if these are older sets or retired sets, I think there's this.
Mm-hmm.
I used to have this feeling of having to buy that in the box and new, and I don't really feel that way anymore. And I think that's good because you can buy something that is used like new and save some money. And at the same time too, if it's a set that's on the shelves or somewhere else, like you're keeping it from ending up in the dump. Sometimes you're keeping it from getting, if it's a collector set, like I just think there's a lot of ways that we can engage in this hobby and not necessarily feel compelled to buy new. And Lego's actually exploring initiatives too with some of their buyback programs and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that. So I think that's really exciting to see. I'm happy to hear another AFOL kind of comment on that, and especially kind of as they talk about their own relationship to Lego. So kudos to you, and thank you for writing in.
I think that's part of what makes this such a good hobby is that we don't it's if you collect Pokemon cards, you kind of just collect Pokemon cards,
Mm-hmm.
but you don't like. I am a Lego comma collector, right? You are a Lego comma mock builder, a Lego, you know, displayer, a Lego city. I mean, there's so much that you can kind of do
Yeah,
within the
absolutely.
hobby of Lego that's not just collect or build new sets. You can build old sets. And I have to say, Control Alt Toa, one thing that I enjoy a lot is buying, looking on Craigslist and trying to buy up somebody's old collection and just seeing what you can get. I think that's probably where I can already see it happening of like my next kind of foray into like the world of Lego collecting is going to go because I have gotten to a point where, um, like I do buy a lot of new Lego, but I space it out pretty well. I do have it budgeted, and it will get to a point where right now part of my budget is buying retired stuff, and if I can't do that, I'll either save the money because I am having a daughter. Like that's like I get that that's important, but if I'm gonna keep that in the hobby, it'll probably be like going and buying like $100 used bin here and there, and
Mm-hmm.
just kind of seeing what I get and having a little bit of fun with it.
Yeah, I think that's important. And you engage in the hobby in the way that you can,
Mm-hmm.
and the way
And the way that you want to too, right?
and the way that you want to. And I think that's important too. So, yeah, some wise words. Well, Grinch, any final thoughts for our audience tonight as we wrap up our episode?
My name might be Grinch, but Merry Christmas, y'all, and Happy Holidays. Also, Wes, you just want to remind everybody of the schedule for
Yeah.
the rest of the
So,
year.
no, I appreciate that. We are taking next week off from recording, enjoying the Thanksgiving week with our families. We will record the following week, and we will be releasing the week after that. And so, taking a look at the calendar real quick, we should be releasing our next episode.
December 5th, 9th.
Yes, on December 9th. And that will be our final episode of the year, focusing on the Lego 2024 year in review. So we're excited to have all of you guys join us for that. And then we will be taking a few weeks off for the holiday. We should be picking up in January
Mm-hmm.
with our next couple of episodes. Look for an announcement on Instagram for when you can expect us next. And next year is going to be a big year for Grinch and I. Lots to unpack, literally and figuratively. Some big changes, changes of scenery for both of us, changes in family dynamics, And so we are
It'll be
excited
just like this year.
to some extent. Yeah, it'll be a lot like this year. And so we're excited to share that with you guys and you all, but we're also excited to bring you a new season of AFOLs Welcome. As we explore more topics, we'll bring on some more guests, and we'll continue to dive into this theme that we all love and share, and our hobby with Lego. So, yeah.
Hashtag 13-6 about to be 16-3.
Mav, I need a rematch. Alrighty. Well, that is a wrap of another episode of AFOLs Welcome. If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe and leave us a review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or wherever you are listening to this show. If you would like to write the podcast, please email us at afolswelcome@gmail.com or follow us on Instagram at AFOLs Welcome. AFOLs Welcome. Thanks for listening, and we will catch you on the next one in December.